I want to tell you something I almost never talk about because it embarrassed me for years. I am a senior, just like many of you watching. And for a long time, I believed I was doing everything right. I took my vitamin B12 every single day. I never missed it. I even told friends, at least I am covering my B12. And yet slowly, something felt off. It did not happen overnight. That is the scary part. First came tingling in my feet, then strange weakness in my hands. Some days I felt mentally foggy, like my thoughts were wrapped in cotton. I blamed age. I blamed stress. I blamed bad sleep. What never crossed my mind was one simple question. What if the vitamin I trusted most was being taken the wrong way? Here is the moment that still makes my stomach drop. When I finally sat down with my doctor and showed him exactly how I was taking B12, he went quiet. No panic, no drama, just a long pause. Then he said, "You are not alone. Most seniors I see are making the same mistakes, and many do not find out until nerve damage has already started." That single sentence changed everything for me. What shocked me even more was what came next. He explained that B12 is not just about swallowing a pill. Absorption changes as we age. The form matters. The timing matters. Other medications matter. Even stomach acid plays a role. Studies now show that a large percentage of older adults taking B12 regularly are still deficient, simply because they are taking it in a way their body can no longer use. I felt angry, not at myself, but at how little this is explained. No one warns you. No one tells you what to watch for. You keep taking it, assuming you are protected, while symptoms quietly build underneath. In this video, I will reveal and rank the 5 biggest B12 mistakes seniors make. Stay until the end, because the top mistake can silently damage nerves even when tests look normal inside. The clinical studies and medical sources that shape this ranking are shared in the description below. Before we dive in, here's a quick question for you. Where are you watching from right now? Leave your answer in the comments. I personally go through them and respond as often as I can. Now, without any further ado, let's begin with number 5, the common B12 mistake most seniors make without realizing it's quietly preventing their body from using the vitamin at all, even when the label says it's high strength. Number 5, taking B12 with your morning coffee. This mistake seems so innocent that almost nobody talks about it, yet it could be slashing your B12 absorption by a significant amount every single day. Picture this common morning routine. You wake up, pour yourself a hot cup of coffee, and take your vitamins with your first few sips because it is convenient and helps you remember to take them. This habit that millions of people share is actually working against you in ways that scientists are only now beginning to fully understand. Research published in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry has shown that the compounds in coffee, particularly the chlorogenic acids and tannins, can interfere with the absorption of several B vitamins, including B12. When you drink coffee, it stimulates the production of stomach acid initially, which sounds like it might help with absorption. But here is the problem. Coffee also speeds up gastric emptying, which means food and supplements move through your digestive system faster than normal. Your body needs time to properly break down and absorb vitamin B12, and when everything is rushing through at high speed, absorption suffers dramatically. Additionally, coffee has a diuretic effect, which means it makes you urinate more frequently. Since B12 is a water-soluble vitamin, excess amounts get flushed out through your urine rather than being stored. When you combine the diuretic effect with reduced absorption time, you are creating a perfect storm of B12 loss. The solution is beautifully simple, but requires a small change in your routine. Take your vitamin B12 supplement at least 1 full hour before you drink any coffee, or wait until 2 hours after your last cup. Many experts recommend taking B12 first thing in the morning on a completely empty stomach with just plain water, then waiting to have your coffee with breakfast. This gives your body a clear window to absorb the vitamin without any interference. If you absolutely cannot change your coffee timing, consider taking your B12 in the evening instead, at least 2 hours after dinner and well away from any caffeinated beverages. Some people find that taking it right before bed works wonderfully because the body continues absorbing nutrients during sleep. The key is creating separation between your B12 and your coffee, and once you make this simple adjustment, You may notice improvements in your energy levels within just a few weeks. But timing your supplement correctly is just the beginning, because the next mistake involves something printed right on the bottle that most people never question. But before we continue, if you have been enjoying the video so far, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss more videos like this. Number 4. Taking a dose that is far too low. Here is a number that might surprise you. The recommended daily allowance for vitamin B12 is only 2.4 micrograms per day for adults. That tiny amount was established decades ago based on the minimum needed to prevent outright deficiency disease in healthy young people. But if you are over 60 years old, that number is laughably inadequate for your actual needs, and following it could leave you chronically depleted even while technically meeting the government guidelines. A landmark study published in the journal Neurology found that older adults with B12 levels in the low normal range, meaning they were not technically deficient by standard measures, still showed significantly more brain shrinkage and cognitive decline than those with higher levels. The researchers concluded that what we consider normal B12 levels may actually be too low for optimal brain health, especially as we age. The problem compounds when you understand how B12 absorption naturally declines with age. By the time you reach your 60s, your stomach produces significantly less acid than it did when you were younger. This condition, called atrophic gastritis, affects somewhere between 10 and 30% of adults over 60, and it dramatically reduces your ability to extract B12 from food and supplements. So not only do you potentially need more B12 than younger people, but you are also absorbing less of what you take. Medical researchers now suggest that older adults should be taking somewhere between 500 and 1,000 micrograms of B12 daily, which is hundreds of times higher than the official recommendation. This might sound extreme until you understand that B12 has no known toxicity level. Your body simply excretes whatever it cannot use, so there is virtually no risk of taking too much. The real risk lies in taking too little and allowing deficiency to silently damage your nerves and brain over time. When shopping for a B12 supplement, look for products that provide at least 500 micrograms per serving. Many high-quality supplements designed for seniors contain 1,000 micrograms or more, and this is perfectly safe and appropriate. If your current supplement only provides 25 or 50 or even 100 micrograms, you are likely not getting enough to overcome the absorption challenges that come with age. Upgrading to an appropriate dose is one of the simplest and most impactful changes you can make for your health. However, even the perfect dose will not help you if you are taking the wrong form of this vitamin, which brings us to a mistake that affects the vast majority of B12 supplements on store shelves today. Number 3. Using the wrong form of vitamin B12. Walk into any pharmacy or grocery store and pick up a bottle of vitamin B12, and there is an overwhelming chance you will find one particular form of the vitamin inside. It is called cyanocobalamin, and it has dominated the supplement market for decades because it is incredibly cheap to manufacture and extremely stable on the shelf. But here is what the supplement industry does not want you to know. Cyanocobalamin is a synthetic form of B12 that your body cannot actually use directly. Before it can do anything beneficial, your liver must first remove the cyanide molecule attached to it. Yes, you read that correctly. There is a tiny amount of cyanide in this form, and then convert it through multiple steps into the forms your cells can actually utilize. For young, healthy people with robust liver function, this conversion process works reasonably well. But research published in the journal Alternative Medicine Review found that older adults often have reduced ability to perform this conversion efficiently. This means that even if you are absorbing the cyanocobalamin, your body may struggle to turn it into something useful. The forms of B12 your body actually needs are called methylcobalamin and adenosylcobalamin. These are the active forms that go to work immediately in your cells without requiring any conversion. Methylcobalamin is particularly important for brain and nerve function, while adenosylcobalamin plays a crucial role in energy production within your mitochondria, the tiny power plants inside every cell. A study in the journal Pharmacological Research compared the effectiveness of cyanocobalamin versus methylcobalamin in older adults and found that methylcobalamin produced significantly better improvements in neurological symptoms and blood markers of B12 status. The active form simply worked better because it bypassed the conversion bottleneck that affects so many seniors. When selecting a B12 supplement, always check the label to see which form is included. Look specifically for methylcobalamin, which is the most important active form for brain and nerve health. Some premium supplements contain both methylcobalamin and adenosocobalamin together, which covers all your bases. Yes, these active forms cost a bit more than cheap cyanocobalamin, but the difference in effectiveness makes them absolutely worth the investment. Your brain and nerves deserve the form of B12 they can actually use immediately, rather than a synthetic version that requires extensive processing. Making this switch could be the key to finally feeling the benefits you have been missing. Still, even the best form of B12 cannot overcome what millions of seniors are unknowingly doing to sabotage their absorption every single day, which leads us to one of the most overlooked mistakes in all of vitamin supplementation. Number 2. Taking medications that block B12 absorption. This mistake is particularly heartbreaking because it affects people who are trying to take care of their health by following their doctor's orders. There are several extremely common medications prescribed to seniors that significantly interfere with vitamin B12 absorption, and most people taking them have never been warned about this interaction. If you take any of these medications without compensating for their B12 depleting effects, you could become severely deficient within just a few years, and the symptoms might be blamed on aging or other conditions rather than the true cause. The most significant culprit is a class of drugs called proton pump inhibitors, commonly known by brand names like Prilosec, Nexium, Prevacid, and Protonix. These medications reduce stomach acid production, which provides relief for acid reflux and heartburn. But here is the critical problem. You absolutely need stomach acid to properly absorb vitamin B12. The acid separates B12 from the proteins in food and supplements, which is an essential first step in absorption. A major study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that people who used proton pump inhibitors for 2 or more years had a 65% increased risk of vitamin B12 deficiency compared to non-users. The longer you take these medications, the greater your risk becomes, and many people take them for decades without ever being tested for B12 levels. Metformin, the most commonly prescribed medication for type 2 diabetes, is another major B12 depleter. Research published in the Archives of Internal Medicine found that up to 30% of people taking metformin develop B12 deficiency over time. The medication interferes with B12 absorption in the small intestine through a mechanism involving calcium-dependent membrane action. Since metformin is often taken for life, this creates a chronic absorption problem that worsens year after year. Other medications that can reduce B12 absorption include certain antibiotics, anti-seizure medications, colchicine for gout, and even simple antacids like Tums or Rolaids when used regularly. If you take any of these medications, you need to be proactive about your B12 intake. The first step is talking to your doctor about getting your B12 levels tested regularly, ideally every 6 to 12 months. You should also consider taking a higher dose of B12 to compensate for reduced absorption, somewhere in the range of 1,000 micrograms daily or even higher in some cases. Additionally, and this is crucial, you may need to use a form of B12 supplementation that bypasses the digestive system entirely, which brings us to the most important mistake of all. This next revelation has helped countless seniors finally overcome their stubborn B12 deficiency after years of taking supplements that simply were not working. Number 1. Swallowing pills when your body cannot absorb them. This is the mistake that changes everything, and it is the reason why so many seniors remain deficient despite taking B12 supplements faithfully for years. Here is the fundamental truth that most people never learn. Vitamin B12 absorption through the digestive system requires a very specific set of conditions that frequently fail in older adults. And when this system breaks down, it does not matter how many pills you swallow because virtually none of it will reach your bloodstream. Let me explain the fascinating and complex process of B12 absorption so you understand exactly why this matters. When you swallow a B12 supplement, it first arrives in your stomach where acid and enzymes begin breaking it down. Then, a special protein produced by your stomach lining called intrinsic factor must bind to the B12 molecule. This intrinsic factor is absolutely essential because your small intestine cannot absorb B12 without it. The B12 intrinsic factor complex then travels to the very end of your small intestine, called the terminal ileum, where special receptors grab onto this complex and pull it into your bloodstream. If any step in this chain fails, absorption plummets. A groundbreaking study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that approximately 1/3 of adults over 60 have significantly reduced intrinsic factor production, often without knowing it. Another study in the journal Gut discovered that the receptors in the terminal ileum become less efficient with age, further compromising absorption. When researchers actually measured how much B12 from oral supplements made it into the bloodstream of older adults, the results were startling. Some participants absorbed less than 2% of the B12 they swallowed. This explains the mystery of seniors who take supplements religiously yet remain deficient. The B12 is passing through their digestive system without ever being absorbed. The solution requires bypassing the faulty digestive system entirely, and there are two highly effective ways to do this. The first option is sublingual B12, which means tablets or liquids that dissolve under your tongue. The thin tissue under your tongue is rich with blood vessels and can absorb B12 directly into your bloodstream without requiring stomach acid, intrinsic factor, or functioning intestinal receptors. Research published in the British Journal of Clinical Pharmacology confirmed that sublingual B12 produces blood levels comparable to injections in many people, making it an excellent first-line option for those with absorption problems. To use sublingual B12 correctly, place the tablet or drops under your tongue and hold it there for at least 30 seconds to 2 full minutes, allowing complete dissolution and absorption. Do not chew or swallow it quickly. The longer you can keep it in contact with the tissue under your tongue, the more will be absorbed directly into your blood. Take it away from food and beverages for best results and use the methylcobalamin form for optimal benefit. For some people with severe absorption problems or very low B12 levels, sublingual supplementation may still not be sufficient. In these cases, B12 injections provide a guaranteed way to deliver the vitamin directly into your body. The shots are typically given weekly or monthly depending on your needs, and they bypass the entire digestive system completely. A study in the British Medical Journal found that B12 injections rapidly corrected deficiency and neurological symptoms in patients who had failed to respond to oral supplements. If you have been taking B12 pills for a long time without noticing any improvement in your energy, mental clarity, or nerve symptoms, this could be the missing piece. Ask your doctor about testing your B12 levels and consider switching to sublingual supplementation as a first step. If your levels remain low after several months of sublingual use, B12 injections may be necessary. The key is recognizing that swallowing pills is not the only option and may not even be an effective option for your individual physiology. Your body deserves B12 delivery methods that actually work. Now you understand the 5 critical mistakes that have been sabotaging vitamin B12 levels in millions of seniors around the world. You know why drinking coffee with your supplement reduces absorption, why the standard recommended dose is far too low for aging bodies, why the synthetic form in most supplements is inferior to active methylcobalamin, why common medications create hidden deficiencies, and most importantly, why swallowing pills may be completely ineffective when your digestive absorption system has declined. This knowledge puts you far ahead of most people who will continue struggling with fatigue, brain fog, and nerve problems without ever understanding the true cause. The path forward is clear. Switch to a high-dose methylcobalamin supplement, take it at the right time away from coffee and interfering substances, and strongly consider sublingual delivery to bypass absorption problems entirely. If you take medications that deplete B12, be extra vigilant about testing and supplementation. These simple changes can make a profound difference in how you feel every single day, protecting your brain, energizing your body, and keeping your nerves healthy for years to come. If this information has opened your eyes to something you never knew before, Please subscribe to this channel so you never miss another video that could protect your health and vitality. Thank you so much for watching.